evening, everybody. This is Dr. Hack, and the topic of the day is time management. We are going to talk about how you manage your clock to the best of your ability for each time control. And I know there are two ways to do it, right? The first way is a very personalized way. We figure out how long it takes you to think normally, and then we back our way into what time control that might need in order for you to play your best version of chess. The other way is, and the way that I'm going to do it here, is we take a time control. In this case, we're looking at a 10-minute with 0-second increment time control. And we try to work out how much time we can use and at what points in the game in order to play the full game with having enough time on each move. Okay, and the first thing we need to do, I suppose, is we need to get out a calculator. And we need to figure out exactly how many moves is an average game in a 10-minute time control. And that would be, 600 seconds for 10 minutes, right? And the average game lasts for 40 moves. So how many seconds do you have per move if you play an average length game? And that would be 15 seconds. Okay. So we know now that any time we spend more than 15 seconds, we're going to consider that to be a long think. And anytime we spend less than 15 seconds, we're going to consider that to be a short think. Okay, and the more short thinks you have, the longer you can play the game. That you can stretch it into 50 or 60 or 70 moves. The more long thinks you have, the less moves you'll have, right? Now, luckily, we all know that if you're good at your openings, if you really got to memorize well, you can buzz through those things. Boom. 10 moves, right? Without even thinking. And if you look at my clock down here, you'll see that I did just that. I'm playing black. We spend in the opening less than a couple of seconds a move, all the way until we run out of book, which is right, boom, there, 13. And so I start thinking real hard at 13, which means that probably was a move that I had memorized and I just forgotten, or something else is going on there. We'll find out in a minute. And then this one, 31 seconds, we're definitely above, right? This is still below average, 15. This is 10-second move. Now we've got a 31-second move. We have had our official first long think. Okay. Now, I happen to know that there are 3 times in a chess game when you should have a long think every time. And those 3 times are the first move when you leave book. You should have a long think because something weird has happened to leave book most of the time. And you need to understand the nuance of what that player has done. Have they played a novelty? Have they played something that doesn't exist yet? Have they just made a mistake? We don't know, right? That's why you take a long time. The second time when you might take a little bit of extra time is when you're going to make a pawn move. When you're going to break the position open, change the pawn structure, because pawns don't go backwards. And you can't undo that, right? If you decide that after you've done that, your pieces are worse than his and your strategy has been bad, oof, you can't undo it. So think real hard before you move a pawn and change the pawn structure. And then the third time you want to do it, when you want to think really hard, is when you think you see a way to win. Winning material, winning checkmate, either one. Because if you think you see a way to win, then if you're right, you're going to find that the rest of the game is easier because you're ahead or you've already won. And if you're wrong, then you're going to probably sacrifice material and lose the game. That is a moment, right? The key moment of the game, where you pour your heart and soul, according to some chess masters. All right, so we're looking at this, and you can see on the graph down here, this blue line is the clock expiring slowly. When it gets down to this middle line, it'll be at 0. And for me, I'm playing black, so my clock is slowly expiring towards this middle line of 0. Okay, and then each of these bars represents one move. And we're just going to take a peek at the game, and we're going to watch. I think move 13 and move 14 are going to be very interesting. When did I actually stop to think in this one? And this is a book that I know quite well, the Rossolimo. I wrote my own version of this, so I surprise people occasionally. And then Queen E7 is a very normal move. What I'm trying to do here, in case you're unfamiliar, is I'd like to take this knight and I'd like to bring it here, and that would lose this pawn. And then I'd like to wrap that knight around and end up here. And the reason why I'd like to do that is because if he ever kicks it out, that makes a weakness here. I can attack with rooks. And if he doesn't, then it's just going to be a good piece. If he takes it, I can fix my pawns either way. So that's where the knight wants to be. It's a long, convoluted path, and he plays a really nice move here. Boy, that's a good one, right? Because this is the problem piece in this opening. It doesn't have anything to do. And so if it can get traded off, that would be fantastic. But in this case, it can't. He played a great move. So my knight starts his journey, and he goes c4, and I am now clearly happy and most likely out of book. Okay, so that's where this first little jump comes, but I didn't think too hard on it. That's my bad, right? So I didn't use my clock correctly there. I should have, thought about this very hard to think about how I can get a good lead against this. And so now we can kind of figure out what maybe I should have done, and we can maybe clip on a computer for a minute. Computer says knight d7, move the knight, come up here, or just castle. Okay, good. Luckily, I played one of those. Okay, and the bishop's in. We know the knight wants to be up here, so we're going to get rid of that bishop. Okay, and now the rook comes in to attack the weak spot. We're still not to our long think yet. That's why. It's a long think because I think I see a way to win material. As a matter of fact, that move right there is so weird that it just throws me off, and I go, why can't I just take the d pawn? And then I start to get into it, and I start to realize that it could be very risky to do that, right? Because if he just moves the queen here, for example, this could get spicy. I will have to defend the rook there, and I won't be able to move it. Okay, so I have a lot to think about here as I decide whether or not to take this extra pawn or just move away. Right? And I ended up deciding it was okay, and I went for it. And that's what took so long there, right? This is kind of important. And now he plays another very strange move. Goodness gracious. He decides that now is the time to open the discovery. Okay, maybe it's not so strange. Maybe that's very normal then. And I need to fix my knight as a problem here. Now the computer's giving a very specific sacrifice because it sees something that I don't. I can't calculate that. There's no way I would get that right. So I am going to defend my knight because that's the simple chess. That's the easy thing to do, which is fine, right? And now we look down at this time control, and the next time I take a long think is going to be move 17, queen g5. Why did I take that long there? That's what we decide now. And I take this. Sure, he takes with the other knight. Okay, so I think I see a way to win the game again. I think if I play queen to g5, I'm seeing this, I can take that, and I'm also seeing the pressure to the knight because the knight's under defended piece. And then this would be undefended because of the pin. So that's why it took me so long to play this move. I was probably also thinking about the bishop coming out and how to defend this guy, and all those things that you have to do before you can play a move like this. Okay, and he goes knight to f3. Oops. It seems like I trained for this, it seems like I should be ready for this, but it turns out that I just have to trade queens, which I do. And now we go into something else here. You see how these moves are all about the same amount of time. Boom, 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 boom. This is my at rest, easy position. It takes me this long to think about the whole entire thing and play a move. And so my speed is a little bit faster than a 10-minute game. Because I play a whole lot of bullet chess. I play a whole lot of blitz chess. I don't play a whole lot of rapid chess. So this is me just it's probably too short. I should probably think harder on these. But at the same time, this is my at rest. This is me being comfortable. And so I'm going to trade pieces. And I'm going to play e4, save the pawn, right? And I'm going to save the rook, right? And now I'm going to play my bishop out. All these things are very natural things to do. Okay, my next move was very quick. Probably should have thought longer on it. And now we're back to a normal resting move. Take the pawn. Okay. And here, I probably thought about this beforehand. Okay. But this is a move that surprised me. I thought he would take the bishop and I would take the knight. So here we are, and we're at another moment where I think, okay, if I do this right, maybe I win the game. Right? Took me 23 seconds. This is the last long think of the game. And it's very tricky, it looks like. I can see why I took the time. But in the end, I suppose to keep the material, I've got to take the knight. And the pawn stays on the board for another minute or two. Cool. And we'll stop the analysis here. You know, I played a rook endgame. I'm decent at those. I don't think I played this one particularly well. But I still managed to win the game. It went okay, right? It went well enough. So I really hope this helps. I really do. Good luck with your games. This is Dr. Hack. You guys take care.